Millions of Catholics will again observe Holy Week at home due to new COVID-19 restrictions. Let's speak now with Father Jocis Syquia of the Manila Archdiocese. Father, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. For the second year in a row, millions of Filipino Catholics are now forced to spend Holy Week at home once again as the pandemic situation goes from bad to worse. How can we exorcise the demons of this pandemic?
Well, first and foremost, we have to understand that this is, of course, a trying time. But if God permitted this, of course, it is not because of God's will, in the sense that this is caused by self-centeredness, man's sin. But we can use this opportunity to become better Christians, especially if we maximize the resources of the church, especially, for example, the online masses, the online celebrations, and also trying to make use of this time to really go deeper into our faith, because basically we are cut off now from many other distractions. We can maximize this time to really focus on what is really the meaning of Holy Week. What does it really mean to celebrate Holy Week, and what it really means to really enter into the spirit, especially of the Paschal Triduum, so that we may truly experience not only journeying with the Lord, but truly experience also the resurrection. Because if the Lord has permitted this, that means we can come up with the Lord through us, can bring about a greater good from what is going on here. But it's very important that we are able to really use this time, not to distract ourselves with social medias of any sort, but really be discerning, so that we use this time really to recollect ourselves and to really focus on what really is important in our lives. What is really the important values or the priorities that I should really have in my life. This is a time by which we are called to reflect upon that, and especially to reflect upon also what God has done for us, that we are not alone in this. And not only that, also that's why, for example, in Holy Thursday, in Monday, Thursday, we have what we call the focus on giving food to the hungry. Okay? Our Bishop Broderick Pabilio has given instructions.
Father, indeed, reflect and discern. But you know, Father, the past year, we've seen a lot of challenges in friends, in families, and in other people's lives, losing their loved ones due to COVID, losing their jobs, relationships going through changes. This has been 12 months of really big transitions in many people's lives.
Actually, we're only seeing this has actually been part of our society, and it has just been deeply embedded. It's through the pandemic that this is being brought to light. These types of structures, sinful structures, whether it's in the family or in society, it has always actually been there. The pandemic is simply manifesting to us what is really going on in our own spiritual lives, in our own relationships. That's why this pandemic brings out the best in people and also the worst in people. And therefore, from there, we get to know who we really are and what we have to look at. The Lord is trying to point out certain important things to us, especially through this pandemic, to be able to be knowledgeable of what we are seeing in order for us to address this, because these are not things that simply pop out. Right? These are actually consequences of our actions. Right? And therefore, this is something that will make us reflect that this has been going on, but it has been going on in a way that we have not detected it until now. Because a crisis will always bring out what has been hidden. So there is something that has to be dealt with, or we may say addressed in our society. Because this is the way how we have this crisis. And we can see how we respond to it. It manifests how mature we really are spiritually, relationally, and as a country.
So, Father,
yes.
So, Father, we really have to embrace the past year's changes and be aware of what is essential in our lives in the midst of change.
Yes, because the most important thing we have to understand is you can see how life can easily be taken away from you. And that makes people, actually, we may think that everything is negative, but no way. Because if you talk to people, you will see that within them, maybe externally, yes, it's very difficult. But you can see the Lord working in the hearts of a lot of people. There is a lot of conversion going on. The Lord is still very much alive and working within each person, each family, if they're open. And I see that. That's why the Lord is still actually acting but he is acting in a more, we may say, hidden manner. But he is still acting. And later on, we will see the fruits, because many people, after all of
So,
this ends, you
yes.
will see a lot of people who have been converted and they become real Christians, really live out
So,
their
so
faith.
Father, so Father, briefly, what is your message to the Filipino faithful during this Holy Week who continue to face anxiety and stress during this ongoing pandemic?
I think the Lord is just telling us that we are really sinful and we're really dependent on God. That we can only do so much. And if we do our part, we can be assured that God will do his part. If we are really able to carry our crosses now
Mhm.
as Jesus carried the cross, we will always experience at the end the resurrection. But we have to learn how to carry these
Right.
crosses. That's why we need the graces and resources and help and guidance of the church.
Thank you so much for this spiritual advice during Holy Week, Father Jocis Syquia from the Manila Archdiocese.